So move on to the new problem. The problem says that for a bipartite graph, there can't be an odd cycle. This one is easy. I want someone in the class to figure it out and let me know. It's sort of a definition, but I think you can drive a one-line short proof. So remember, a bipartite graph is a graph which can be partitioned into two parts, into x and y. Okay, उसका जो vertex set है, it can be partitioned into x and y. So the problem says that if G is bipartite, तो फिर this implies, and it's both ways, G has no cycle of odd length. Okay, so for example, just say C5 है ना, C5 is a cycle on 5 vertices. Okay, so you won't have a C5 in a bipartite graph. Can anyone quickly prove it? So there are two parts here. First, so you need to start with a bipartite graph, and then you need to show that इस ग्राफ में कोई odd cycle नहीं हो सकता. Okay, और दूसरा part you start with a graph which contains an odd cycle, and then you show that this graph cannot be bipartite. So let me give you a heads up with this part. Okay, so let's say G is this graph. जिसमें V can be partitioned into x and y. Okay, so you have vertices in here which are x, and you have vertices in here which are y. Okay, and all the edges are in here. Okay, you can't have an odd cycle here. No odd cycle. Why not?
Sir, I think because when you go from because for a cycle we have to go from x to back to x, and
Yeah,
for that to happen we have to make a trip to y and then come back to x. So that is
absolutely,
always a multiple
absolutely
of two.
true. Absolutely. So you for an odd cycle, you must start here and you must end here. Okay. Um, but that won't be a cycle, right? Because a cycle means you end where you started, and that's the complete proof. Okay, if you start here, you go there, and then you come back. This is not an odd cycle. This is a walk of length a, where a is even. Okay, it can be odd. If it's an odd length path, it must start at x, it must end at y, or the other way around. It can start at y, it must end at x. If it does that, then it's not a cycle. Okay, so let me just write it down. For an odd length path should start start and end in different parts. Because it's not a cycle. It can't be a cycle. Okay, good. So I hope this one is clear. Now the other way around. Okay, now you have a graph G has an odd cycle. Let's call this cycle, I don't know, V1, V2, V3 up till Vk. Okay, where k is odd. Okay, and we need to show that this means that G is not bipartite. Okay, who is going to do this? Let me make this stupid picture. Okay. So Vk is equal to um, or Vk and then V1. Okay, so this is Vk and then we have V1 because you must start and end at the same vertex. Why can't such a cycle be part of a bipartite graph? Anyone?
So I think because for that to happen, the starting point उधर से जो दो निकल रहे होंगे द मतलब जो साइकिल उधर वापस आती है
क्या?
the two adjacent vertices to those should be in the other part in the
Yes?
other group.
क्या?
So that can't really happen because if we uh, have two vertices minus an odd one,
क्या?
मतलब two edges minus an odd number of edges minus two, that would also give us an odd, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
proved earlier
Perfect.
that
Perfect. Awesome. Who is it? Essen?
essence, yes.
Okay. All right. Great. So the proof is as Essen said. In simple words, a bipartite graph can be two colored, जैसे हमने last time कहा था. Okay. You can use two colors to color the vertices, or you can make sure that किसी edge में दो एक color नहीं आ रहा. Okay. So which means कि I can put V1 in X and V2 in Y. Okay. So V1, V3, V5, and so on. These would be in the same color, or V2, V4, V6 would be in different colors. Okay. But what would be the color of Vk, where k is an odd number? Okay, if k is an odd number, तो इसका color would be the same color as V1. Okay, which means both of them are in the same partition. But if this is the case, it implies that G is not bipartite. Okay, because you have a pair of vertices जो एक ही उसमें आ रही हैं, partition में आ रही हैं और उनके दरमियान edge है. Okay, this can't happen for a bipartite graph. Okay, once more, the argument is simply color the vertices. जो V1 का कलर है वो V2 के कलर से डिफरेंट होगा. Okay, because they have an edge. अब V2 का कलर V3 के कलर से डिफरेंट होगा, विच मीन्स के जो ऑड नंबर्ड वर्टिसेस हैं उनका कलर सेम होगा और जो इवन नंबर वर्टिसेस हैं उनका कलर भी सेम होगा, because there is an edge between odd and even color vertices or numbered vertices. Okay, but this leads to the conundrum or the paradox कि what's the color of Vk, because Vk is an odd vertex. But if you give it a color of V1, then you are in trouble, because then V1 and Vk would fall in the same part of the bipartite graph and they have an edge between them. Okay, if that's the case, then G is not bipartite. Okay, so this completes the proof that if G has an odd cycle, it can't be a bipartite graph. All right, any questions?